You're listening to the Free to Be Mindful podcast, which provides bite-sized tips for busy parents, educators, and anyone working with kids. These real talk conversations focus on mindful living, mental health, and personal growth, helping all to learn, grow, and inspire with mindfulness in mind. I'm your host, Vanessa de Jesus Guzman, educator, licensed professional counselor, entrepreneur, and mom. I'm passionate about helping folks live life with peace of mind and ease of heart while not losing their, well, you know, here we go. Have you ever tried to practice meditation but have no idea if it's working or even if you're doing it right? Wouldn't it be awesome if there's something that could just let you know when you're in the zone so that you could know to do more of that? Well, there is something that does exactly that. It's called MUSE. It's a brain sensing headband that helps you find more calm, sharper focus, and better sleep. And it measures your brain waves and lets you know exactly when you're in a meditative state. You can get 15% off any MUSE product by clicking the link provided in the show notes or in the comments below. Check them out at choosemuse.com and don't forget to use that link for 15% discount at checkout. Hi, and welcome back. So as we approach the middle of the month of January, have you forgotten all about 2020 yet? For so many, it was definitely a year that we probably wanted very much to forget. However, I think it's so important that if we completely forget about everything that has happened, then we may stay stagnant. And it's through our experiences, whether we categorize them as good or bad or indifferent, it's through the experiences that we have that we learn lessons which help us grow as individuals. And as I reflect back on the year of 2020, I remembered a place of disarray and astonishment, fear, all around the time of George Floyd, which was at peak about in the month of June 2020. And there were so many feelings of dissonance during this time because I started to think about when I've seen others be really targets or victims of certain things. And I started to think about there are many times that I've been the only person of color in a situation and where maybe sometimes I'm turned to answer questions about what feels like the whole Latinx population, even though I'm just me. I definitely had worry for my son around that time, who, although a Latino light-skinned boy, he's still considered to be brown. I had many families with close businesses in New York City that were looted and destroyed. And despite all of that happening, I understand the privilege that I carry as an educated, upper middle class, light-skinned, able-bodied woman, even though there are some things that I carry that I may be at a disadvantage. I know that I also have a lot of privileges. Why do I bring this up now? Well, this weekend is a long weekend, and we celebrate the life of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And even where I work, up until a couple of years ago, we still didn't have that day off. And even if we do have off, it's what we do with that time that really counts. We should use it to really continue to learn and to educate ourselves and to grow as people, because when it comes down to it, it's really what it's about. And then to inspire our kids in our lives, whether they be our own children, students, or kids in our lives whom we love, inspire them to do better. So I like to start to really share the aspect of self-awareness, which is a big part of social emotional learning and of emotional intelligence. And I've given 1.5 to 2 hour workshops on this topic. So it's definitely not enough time today to get through this fully. But I wanted to make sure that as humans that we continue the dialogue because, again, we definitely want to continue learning and growing through our lifespan. So we all have various levels of privilege. Some we can't help at all, and others we can definitely identify with. As we go through this list, Please understand that the intent is not to feel guilty about the privilege which we have or bad about those which we don't have. It's just important to simply realize what we have and how that can shape our experiences, and even notice the experiences of others who are different from you, and how privilege may impact them or maybe not impact them. And once we become more self-aware of ourselves and more aware of what happens to others, then we're practicing mindfulness, right? It's paying attention to what's happening at any given moment while letting go feelings of judgment for yourself and for others. So I'm going to run down a list of different types of privileges, going to give you an example or two of each, and just think about how these may apply to you. So the aspect of class, do you have access to good health care? And is your home always a really good temperature where you don't have to worry about who even controls it? The aspect of ability privilege, do you have to think about whether you're going to be able to get in and out of places comfortably? Or are you ever told that you should never consider having children because you'll pass on your genes to them? The aspect of age privilege. Can you get a job having to do with technology despite being over a certain age? Or do you get spoken to differently because of your age? The aspect of religion. Can you safely assume that you'll have off for your holidays? Or can you assume correctly that your children will have the same holidays off as you will? The aspect of male or masculine privilege. Can you express your frustration, passion, assertiveness without being called the B word? Or are you expected to spend a great deal of time and money on your appearance because of your gender? Then there's also cisgender privilege. Can you use public restrooms without fear of verbal abuse, physical intimidation, or arrest? Can you assume that strangers are not going to ask you what your genitals look like and how you have sex? There's sexuality privilege. When your partner dies, will you receive paid leave to grieve? Can you talk about your relationship openly, about vacations and family planning, not having to worry about what others think? There's a linguistic privilege. Do people mock your accent or have a fetish about your accent or dialect? And can you readily find people in media around you that can communicate in your native language or dialect? There's citizenship privilege. Do you worry about getting a job due to your social security number or lack thereof? And are you able to vote on policies or for the people who will make laws that will impact your way of life or your community? And there's a lot of other privileges that don't even have a name, but that just come about depending on what's going on in the world. So, for example, even right now, as we're still in the middle of this pandemic, do you have to worry about your health because you have a compromised immune system? Do you have exercise equipment in your home? Do you have easy access to a private, safe outdoor space? Do you live with family members so that you're not experiencing this on your own? All of those aspects, even though they don't quite have a name to them, still carry a sense of privilege. So hopefully going through those different topics will help you better understand how there is indeed a white race, ethnic, and culture privilege as well. So do people know how to pronounce your name, and are you never mocked or perceived as a threat because of your name? Can you expect to see professors on college campuses or many colleagues of your race at your place of employment? Do you not even think about your race or ethnicity? You don't even notice it. Or can you find the foods that you're looking for at your local supermarket? Can you be pulled over without having to worry about being perceived as a threat or being treated fairly or unfairly based upon your race or ethnicity? Do people assume that you're unintelligent or lazy based upon your race or ethnicity? And can you be seen as an individual and not as a spokesperson for your race or ethnicity? Are you ever held responsible for the actions of other people because of your race or ethnicity? And those are just some examples of that type of privilege. And sometimes, friends, it's easy to forget how good we have it because we just go about our lives and we don't even think about it. And other times, for other folks, it's something that they have to think about every day of their lives because it shapes each and every experience. So that's why I'm sharing this aspect of self-awareness. Really, before we help others, we have to make sure that we have the awareness of ourselves and then of others, because who we are and what we believe in, whether we are conscious about it or not, really does impact the way that we interact with others. And understandably, we may not ever truly know what it's like to live in the shoes of somebody else, but at least through the self-awareness, our scope widens. So right now, regardless of where you are or what you're doing, just take a few deep breaths in through your nose and exhaling out through your mouth. Sometimes these conversations can be eye-opening. Sometimes they can be heavy, depending on which lens you look through. Continue to take deep breaths in through your nose and exhaling slowly out of your mouth. As we think about everything we just heard, and as we have these conversations, maybe with ourselves and then with others, and how we plan to forgo judgments and to listen twice as much as we speak. And sometimes when these things really get us looking through another point of view, it's important to breathe in things that we need and breathe out things that we want to either put out into the world or things that we just want to let go of. So as we breathe together in these next few moments, breathe in peace for yourself and breathe out understanding. Breathe in different points of view and breathe out any hard feelings that you may have for or of yourselves and for others. As we are in this world together, all working towards progressing, towards learning, towards growing, and towards inspiring our future to know better and to do better. I hope you enjoyed this week's show. It would mean a ton if you took this moment to review the Free to Be Mindful podcast on the platform you catch your favorite shows. That quick and easy act lets me know what you enjoy, and it helps others find the podcast too. And of course, don't forget to subscribe so you can listen along next week. In the meantime, I welcome you to catch me on social media at Counselor V. De Jesus. And as always, remember, in a world where you are free to be anything that you want to be, you are always free to be mindful. Catch you next week.